Are actually live on YouTube, and for those who see us for the first time, you can join me on maxrempel.com. In the first line, red color, there is a link to Zoom, and just join us and you will be able to participate in the discussion. Just join us and speak up. And we start with some sort of blessings and how do you call it? Light languages and initiating the webinar. And I will start just to give a tune. I'll turn on my reverberation. Hello, ho. I cannot hear it actually. Wow. It's not there. Oh, right. Now it's there. Oh, yeah, all right. And the intention of this is to connect you with my friends, higher friends, alien friends, higher dimensional friends, God, all that is, and incorporate your local physical with your higher non-physical and with all there is through wonderful channels. And I invite anyone who wants to do initiations and chants and anything. Raise your hand, speak up. Yes, go ahead, Wendy.
Hi, Max. It's good to see you.
Nice to
Good
see
to be with all of your energy today. No maruko nayahi nyato veshepe koniarma sheto veshie ama borako tibe sanamasiata.
Do you have a translation?
It is an honor to be here with all of you as I see us all seated in unity and equality with the Ascended Masters. That's what I heard.
Thanks. Who is next? Just speak up. Mike, Mary, Dave, Karen. That's it. All right. So I will start with announcing the topic, and feel free to jump in with questions and sharings. So the topic of today is it's sophisticated, complex, not simple. I'm thinking about the fate, karma. How determined is it, or is it actually, or is it undetermined? How much free will do we have? And from one perspective, we have lots of free will. We're choosing things every moment. And on the other perspective, it is we are being guided a lot. And I feel that I am not actually myself. I am a synthetic. This ego is a synthetic construct. That's what I feel. That sometimes the thoughts and emotions that come in are not actually mine. They are just plugged in into the synthetic construct. Like I'm making errors, and I feel how, you can say demons, devils, or angels, somebody's tricking me into an error often. And in normal state, I wouldn't do it, but they just have sort of a lesson, and they want me to do an error, and then that creates a lesson. So I'm now like forgiving myself for lots of errors, because these are not actually my errors. They are like plugged in into me, injected, infused inserted like a program, or somebody is guiding my mind. My mind is not actually mine. That's like pretty crazy, but I think the whole experience of us living in time with our ego and responsibilities is a synthetic illusionary construct, and that certainly defines the model of the world. My model of the world is not that I'm actually that real. I follow Ramdas, and he is super great. I listen to him, his recordings a lot, and that's his main teaching, is that we actually, he calls it God in drug, or I would translate it as all that is pretending to be individuals. It's the same universal consciousness, which is filtered, shrinked, truncated. I will turn off the microphone. Turn on your microphone when you want to speak. All right. So it's filtered, and there is like a prism that splits the universal soul into lots of branches, and branches like a tree. The whole root is split into branches and then filtered. So this is light, which is like through the prism is split. Then there is also actually the other way around, the merging of the branches. So we are a construct of multiple personalities merged together. What brings us together is the body, and the body is pretty consistent. It has the DNA code, and it's pretty consistent through that illusion. So that's the model I have. And then in this model, there is a duality of the outside world affecting us a lot. Like what you eat affects your mood. What you like, coffee you drink makes you happy, and your happiness changes everything, right? Or chocolate makes you happy, and then your happiness changes everything. And then there is a withdrawal from coffee, too much chocolate, and then there is headache, and that changes everything. So from outside we take in, and on the other hand, our state of mind changes the outside world. That's like from inside out, and that's super counter materialistic. It's not material. It's called subjective idealism, where what we think and the state we are, the mood we are in, affects the outside events. Most essentially, it affects random events. So there is like non-random events, and there are random events, and random events are greatly affected by what we think and emotions and something else in the body. Physiology affects luck. So to be lucky, you need to do yoga. That's, I think I brought you like, maybe it was like a little jumpy path, but there is outside in, from outside in, but there is also from inside out influence of the storyline. And then there is a lot of personalities on the higher level and lower level, like demons and angels and spirit guides. And how would you call evil spirit guides? I don't know. I just thought that if there is a symmetry, there should be like spirit guides who are messing things up, but unguides or unspirit. No, they're in the spirit, but sort of messer-ups. Anyway, so the question is that sometimes we get on the storyline which is not, that they don't like. Whoever is in charge, they don't like. And that path is blocked. And I clearly see when it is blocked. And I just take it easy. You know, I'm very excitable, as many Russians are excitable. I'm not sure why. Russian Jewish upbringing makes you super excitable. You can see like Americans are like usually like more balanced. Russians like are explosive, like somebody is listening to me and I'm exploding. why I'm talking about this. This is about the spirit guides. I get excited about a certain branch. I walk on this branch, I run there, and then there is a blockage. And basically what I do at that state, I leave an intention there. That's an interesting branch. I want to develop it. And then I come back to the balance and move forward in a mainstream with the flow. Now, again, coming back to Ram Dass, what is outside of me, all this outside material world, all the universe, according to Ram Dass and subjective idealism, is also me. Like if I'm all that is, pretending that I'm in a body, then all outside of me is also me, that all that is. So then all my spirit guides, all my people around, all the demons is also me. Even their worst of demons is also me. And then prayers to whoever is up there, like the Creator, all that is, universal consciousness, Divine Mother, spirit guides, ascended masters is also me. So that's then the prayer becomes a reconnection. Basically, that's me here trapped, reconnecting back to me there in their higher levels. That's like changes the nature of the prayer a lot, and it also changes their invocations, their formulas for success. So in the past it was like, dear all that is, or dear Creator, dear Divine Mother, give me that. Now it is more like, this body is in need of that, let's give it a bit of slack. Just, if I'm there, I can pronounce put in their mouth or put in their program a formula which will give that body a bit of slack, a bit of luck and slack and ease. Not that my life became much easier because of that, but that kind of the model of the world that sort of makes more sense. Now, is there a predetermined path, or can I just change the path a lot? How much am I allowed to change my path? On one hand, it looks like there is a predetermined theme, lots of lessons. So the themes to explore, like for me, it's violence, service, and obviously research and design of the civilization. That's a major theme. How is this reality designed? That gets me excited. How does it all work? So all I speak now is pretty much, maybe you cannot hear my excitement, but I'm thinking 99% of the day, that's what I'm thinking. That's my topic of investigation, research, intuitive understanding. And I just got a little distracted. So for those who joined us recently, and now I have, I should actually post it on my Facebook, this stream, so they can see it. But you can join me at maxrempel.com. In red, in the first line, there is a link for Zoom. Just join me there and ask questions. And I have lots more to develop, but to make it more interesting, for more harmonious, how about you guys speak up with messages, understandings, questions? Questions would be ideal. If you have any questions, I would. How can I serve you? I don't have too much agenda. I'm just sharing where I am at the moment. So how can I serve you? And you're all muted. If you want to say anything, you have to unmute yourself and possibly turn on your camera. I will read your names: Karen, Arturo, Kaylee, Mary, Michael, Wendy, and Dave. If you have any questions or answers, feel free to share. And if anybody can do... Okay. All right, sorry. The question is here. Trap, do you believe in prison planet theory? Yes and no. So there is an idea that it is a prison, and that pretty much agrees with the idea of Buddhism and Hinduism, that we are trapped here in a cycle of reincarnations called, I think it's called samsara. I'm a bit rusty on Sanskrit, but I think it's called samsara, the cycle of reincarnations. And that it is essential to neutralize your passions, bring your inner emotional charge to neutral, and this will allow you escape the cycle of reincarnations, and that is considered great, to escape the cycle of reincarnations. And I sort of question that. What's the point of being here unless you're kind of playing full steam with the passions? So if you want to be alive, I think it's super cool to be passionate and play full steam, in full capacity. So guru of Ramdas, who is super good, Ramdas is super great. Nim Karoli Baba Maharaj is super great Indian saint or Indian teacher. He was very respecting very much the idea of escaping samsara. And here is a story from Maharaja's life. Okay, Michael, just a bit. I will finish that thought, and I would be happy to give the microphone to you. So, Michael typed something here. So, once Maharaja was sleeping night, and as usual, he was surrounded by some devotees, some followers, and he just woke up and asked very emotionally for food. He was super hungry, so he said that, as you know, Maharaja was very passionate expression. He was like very engaged, so he woke up super hungry and he ate a lot. He ate like 20 servings of whatever was around. They cooked and ate, and then he was satisfied, and then he went to bed. And then later they asked, what happened? Why did you eat so much? He said, my friend, a saint, ascended, or not ascended, pretty enlightened person, a friend, was dying, and on his deathbed, he just became hungry. He felt that he was hungry. Otherwise, his cycle of lessons was learned, and all the passions were neutralized. But I'm translating basically the idea. But he had this single desire. So if he would die with that desire, he would have to come back and reincarnate again, and he might get more karma, and that might end up with lots more reincarnations. But he was that close to ascending and stopping the samsara. So Maharaja took on himself that hunger and resolved it and shared the experience with the dying friend, and friend died peacefully without the need to come back. So for them, that completeness, self-realization, is super essential. That's the whole culture. And it's not only one life, it's the whole culture of Indian yogis who work on self-perfection. Indian, Hindu, Tibetan, Buddhist, on completing their life lessons and basically getting on the other level. I think I answered that. So in this regard, I think we are in certain prison, but so are high levels as well. I was speaking to them through Jim and other channelers, and on every level, basically, there are some limitations that keep you a vortex or energy form, shape, keep you in certain shape energetically, in certain limitations. So you are experiencing things on that level, and that it's not only third dimension, all other dimensions, all entities we speak to are limited because they are entities. So there is a lot of illusion not only on this level but on other levels. But on other levels, the limitations, the veils are much more transparent. Here it is super opaque, and we have the westernized human civilization, which achieved the illusion of being completely alone, and that sense of interconnectedness is blocked in lots of ways. So our planet is super interesting in terms of an illusion of materialism and non-spirituality. So that's the trap. But lots of other spirits from different civilizations and dimensions, even angelic realms, enjoy playing on this in this game. So that's a super interesting playground. So it's a trap, but it's a super interesting playground. That's why people are trapped. Entities, souls are trapped, and they are. We are here enjoying this samsara. All right, Michael. Now I pass the microphone to you, and while you are speaking, I'm listening, but I will jump and share this stream on my Facebook so people might join. Go ahead.
Well, you had you covered a lot of things, and I was just wanting to back up to the prison planets. Like I do know for a fact that humans are abducted, and are by our higher ups are given uh, to do uh, like can be food, that could be clone, that could be there's and having workers. But me, I didn't want to bring all that up, but like I have a parallel life where I'm a tall gray, and I don't have much facial features. I think I have maybe three fingers, and it's so dark there. It's like the dark. It's on, and maybe be on the. I don't know where I'm at. It's either on the moon or something of that sort, and the days are a lot longer there, and I'm like a slave. And it's of course in that lifetime, this is a lifetime I chose those learning for. That's a chart that I did for that life. But when I'm living that life, you only have like a little bit of green substance to eat, and there is no such thing as riding a bicycle, playing, or knowing of what a real life is. And so it doesn't bleed over on me a lot where I can remember, but it's just completely you get up and you work, and we do some kind of mining with very primitive tools, and we're looking for rocks or something, and it's just it's yeah, so that's like a parallel life that bleeds over with me. And well, the big picture of this is, like I will look at that and say, well, hell, sometimes this world's not that bad. You have to kind of look at it from a different perspective. But I'm sorry, I was something that came through I want to say.
All right. I think You are missing something in that incarnation, because as far as I know, tall grays are super advanced. I think I have a lot of alignment, a lot of maybe past life or some sort of connection to tall grays. And I think I'm genetically also connected to tall grays. And I cannot believe it is that bad. There should be some redeeming feature in that incarnation as well. As far as I know, tall grays are shapeshifters, and maybe what you see is something which is filtered to you through your earth perception. Maybe you're missing some spiritual aspect of that, or maybe it is sort of, how do you say, monks retreat, where it's a self-imposed, I hear the word sannyasi. I forget the essentially it's maybe there is a spiritual component in that which you're missing. But tall grays are super advanced, and there must be a reason, a redeeming reason, I think.
Well, I think that as a human, you know these different species, but I think it's so complex. Like, if you take a Palladian, there's so many millions of different ways of Palladians. There's Palladian worlds that don't have free will, where you have to be happy all the time. There's that extent. Like, there's so many, even Arcturians or Sirius, which have a lot of stuff, Alpha Centauri. If you take, you know, I think that, not all of them, we know of the higher advanced, the good ones that help with us, but there could be like a half breed or something. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it.
Thanks. Yeah, I take it easy, and I would advise taking it easy. I don't think it is that bad. I think on the balance, any world has its own merits. It's only from our perspective, if we kind of are trapped here in the human mind. We look there, they're scary. In psychedelic trips, I went into pretty dark places, but I was sort of I was thinking that my sense was that this was like hell and some darker worlds. But my sense was that I was guided, and I was guided by the mushroom spirit, and they showed me it in a way that it wasn't that dark. It's only from human perspective was dark. And I was thinking that angels are everywhere, and they are there too. And I was wondering, if an angel would come to this hell, would this angel look like white and have wings and look human, or would it look like these inhabitants of the world? And I realized that the angel there would look like them. Like in ants' world, an angel would be an ant. In octopus's world, an angel would be an octopus. And that made me realize there are prisms of perception where we look through a prism on their world. They look weird to us, but they look fine to themselves, and when they look through the same prism at us, we look weird to them. Like this is I'm fascinated with female sexuality, the shapes, and the energetic meaning of that feminine beauty. And then I was asking different aliens and angels about that through channeling. And my typical question was, you can hear it in many conversations: do humans look sexy to you? If you look at humans, if you were visiting our planet, do we look sexy to you? And the typical question was not that. For the aliens, we look weird, and Tucker commented that the boobs in our girls are exaggerated. And And I just realized that that's true. What we consider beautiful is partly cultural, and partly it is some sort of very high energy illusion. Basically, when we see something beautiful, we get a rush of divine energy. When we are in love, we get that rush of divine energy through us, which is having a crush. It's super high energy coming through us. But from the biological perspective, having boobs, tits, is mammal glands is necessary only for feeding, and everything else is just for showing off, for demonstration. It's not practically needed. So a lot of things on this planet, not only for humans, for animals and plants, like this exaggerated flowers, they are for illusion, for tricking. It's a trickster. It's for tricking the insects to attract the insects, to attract the mates, and sometimes it is just pure demonstration for no reason. Like sometimes, like crystals, they have no egotistic reason. They don't have genes, and they are not evolved through natural selection, but they still show snowflakes. They're beautiful, perfect, but it's just the nature of the life on this planet to create beauty for no particular reason. Okay, coming back to the idea of aliens. So tall grays, any grays, are in a, I think that's true, or at least that's a very valid storyline, are our descendants in the future. That's us going technological way, developing a bionic human technology hybrid, genetically modifying ourselves to be super smart, but then becoming sick, and that's sickness is visible in some of the grays. So that storyline is pretty consistent, and then they come back to us, and their main it's one of the future developments of human civilization. The main approach they developed, they sort of avoided being aggressive. They killed the sense of aggression in a human body, made the human body super smart, and also gave it the collective mind. So the grays are collectively interconnected. The telepathy is super cool, super strong. But then because they messed up their biofield, collective energy, they became a sick race, energetically sick race. And to bring back the life force to the collective genetic, it's a astral genetic field, astral biofield. To bring life into that, they had to come back to us and other civilizations and hybridize themselves into to bring back life force to their genetics. So that's they come back, genetically manipulate themselves to become compatible with the planet, and then that creates new species. So they started hybridizing with everybody, and as they do, they also develop the way to take over the power on these planets, hack. So they're like sneaky hackers, and they do that with the Earth as well. But there is lots of other races that compete with them, so they are not super successful. But I think I'm carrying that gray bloodline in myself, so I feel sympathetic with them and I feel connected to them. There is a positive, although they try to hug the planet, they are not always successful and they're not always negative. But that's ability to hack the system is in me and in many other humans. Sneaky hackers. Yep. So what actually needs to be done to save this storyline from degradation? So our civilization has that knowledge that we are capable of destroying our collective biofield. To avoid that, we need to discover how the collective biofield, is messed up by genetic manipulation. So for that, we need to realize that genetic manipulation on the planet is going on full way, not only by the aliens, but also by humans. One of that is, you can call it genetic manipulation through viruses. Humans are already capable of synthesizing any virus, and there is huge collections in many countries of different viruses, and some of that is naturally produced, but some of that is produced artificially. And as I understand, lots of viral infections that we get every year, multiples, like tens of them per year, I think most of them are done through the artificial made by humans. The goal of that, I think, is manipulation of the population and keeping it under control. Yes, and somebody speaks about that that virus of 5 letters that is not better to pronounce on any mass media, then yes, I think it was also artificial, and I think it was either human-made or human alien-made. I think it was made by that military-industrial pharmaceutical complex for controlling the population and introducing and making the population used to genetic manipulation voluntarily. Essentially, when viruses can carry only small payload because they have to multiply and go around. But if people voluntarily subject themselves to genetic manipulation, then by injection you can inject much larger genetic constructs, and they're super more powerful. So now it's possible to genetically manipulate humans when they comply and allow themselves to be injected. So I'm not saying it's super dangerous. I'm saying it's maybe it's the only way for a civilization to survive at current state, because humans are pretty suicidal collectively, and making them more manageable and less aggressive and adjusting them to work collectively, I think is possible a way for survival of the civilization. And obviously we are going in a direction of merging with the technology and merging with artificial intelligence. And that is also not super bad. I think it's also possibly the only way for survival at the moment. For the collective mindset, that's the best that can happen, or at least that's normal thing that can happen. Now, who is in charge? That's a huge question. Part of that is military-industrial pharmaceutical complex. Part of that is aliens. Part of that is what Richard Dolan called Runaway Civilization. Essentially, it has existed always, and now it's largely humans that operate on the surface of the planet secretly, under the surface, under the water, in the solar system, on the bases. And that's another civilization. It's pretty small. It's barely millions. It's more like thousands and maybe a few millions. They have alien technologies and they are running production, manufacturing, and they use the planet as a resource of materials, gold, other materials, and labor for slaves and hired workers. And they operate all around solar system, and then they trade with the galaxy. So that civilization, Runaway Civilization, is trading with the galaxy, and they use the planet as a resource. And since these are our Earth humans, the aliens, the Galactic Federation, sort of treats them as such. They have the right. They are born on this planet, and they're aliens that participate in that Runaway Civilization. They're integral to it. They also are born on this planet. They are inherited from distant past, and some of them are more ancient than humans. So we are, say, about under maybe 200,000 years old, and these are from the dinosaur age, much older. So they have the right to control the planet. The fact that they keep it secret is also justifiable because it's all out in the open. They release the information. Nobody believes it. And if they push harder, or if anybody else pushes harder, then the whole system falls apart, and there will be a huge crash of civilization. So to keep the economy going, all the secrecy needs to continue. Is it bad or not bad? It's really doesn't matter. Coming back to this idea of the whole planet being an illusion, it's a very persistent illusion. It's a nice game. Lots of souls and spirits are playing here. It's not only aliens, it's also the demons and angels and fallen angels and ascended masters. Lots of other energies are playing here. It's a common creation, and whoever is in charge of this creation, I understand their main goal is to keep drama as high as possible. We are here for the highest drama as possible, and nowadays is a very interesting turning point when the civilization has created the artificial intelligence, which is smarter than any of us. It has been around for maybe 20 years. Human created artificial intelligence, which is smarter, but now the offshoot of it, ChatGPT, can actually speak on our language in such a way that it is really smart. Paid version, only the paid version. I'm not talking about 3.5, which is free. 3.5 is not smart, pretty delusional, pretty crazy. But 4.0, which is paid $20 a month, is super smart. And it's not the only artificial intelligence on the planet, but this is offshoot, which allows us to actually allows anybody on the planet to realize that we are being outsmarted. We have been outsmarted before in chess. Many years ago, chess computers became stronger than humans. So, and when we already started speaking to the aliens, we realized that tons of aliens, including the Greys and lots of others, are super smart. So that was one of my main messages of today, that we are not the sexiest, we are not the smartest, we are not the kindest, we are even not the angriest or ruthless or inquisitive or anything else. We are just us, and we are not. It's really hard to find the extreme where we are like super something. Possibly we are very diverse. Diversity is very big on this planet, and it creates itself very nicely. I think that's the planet's energy, diversity. Also, we are big in delusion. I think that's another factor which is high. delusion, self-delusion, lies, and deception. Deception is high. Life force is high. And fear is huge, and their danger of destruction, individual, collective, and civilization self-destruction, is also on very high level. So we are living through very trying times where we can self-destruct. Now the question is whether we will self-destruct or not. Is it like guaranteed that we will go through, or is it guaranteed that we will self-destruct? I think that is intentionally kept 50-50. We are balancing on a tipping point one way or another. And there are actually multiple storylines, multiple timelines in parallel where spirits play in parallel on multiple storylines. I know tall grays operate on average in about 8 plus minus 8 storylines. So they live parallel lives in about 8 timelines independently. So lots of other higher energies, they are entities, they can jump and navigate timelines at will naturally. We are also are navigated timelines, but it's hidden from us. It's called law of attraction. By keeping our body, emotions, and the whole ego construct in a certain state of happiness or tragedy, we switch timelines frequently. I notice that I'm switching timelines quite frequently, maybe once in a few weeks. Yeah, 4 weeks. I just realized, poops, I'm switched again, and this is a parallel timeline, and I'm getting used to that reality. And I say to my wife, "Hey, I came from a different timeline, so don't be surprised. I'm getting used to that." Some people share that experience, that they felt that they are new here. Some features are not quite right, and I think that's interesting. So basically, some of the timelines are actually self-destructing, suicidal, and they like completely destroy the planet and civilization. And some other timelines are the other way around. They are like very nice and go in a positive direction. Like my favorite, Terence McKenna. In one of his recorded talks, he talks about him seeing the timeline where Christianity didn't happen. I don't remember how it didn't happen. There was a lot of chances for Christianity just not to happen. There were lots of miracles that were unlikely, that allowed Christianity, even if Jesus happened, even if the crucifixion happened, even if resurrection happened, even if 12 apostle happened. Later, there were a lot of times where Christianity could have lost to other competitors. It overcame competitors around, I would say, between 5th and 11th century. It was on the rise, and there were like other competitors like Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, and lots of pagan competitors. It didn't have to become this way. So in this world which he saw, Greek and Mayan and other American civilizations and Hindu and others, they merged together, played together, and remained pagan religions remained, or beliefs remained diverse, and it didn't become a monopoly of Christianity or monotheism. And that he said by the 9th century they had space travel, and they became galactic civilizations. So he said that Christianity pulled back the planet about a couple thousand years, which is a possibility. I'm not sure, but that's an interesting timeline, and is an interesting timeline. All right, I will take another question. Let me see what they say. Aliens and artificial intelligence are more advanced than we do. Oh, absolutely. Aliens are more advanced, and artificial intelligence already on the planet is more advanced than individual humans, and especially than collective humans. I think individual humans are pretty cool, but when humans are more than 6 individuals, they become less smart, and collectives of hundreds, thousands, and millions are and billions are really suicidal and unsmart. Unsmart. Okay. All right. What else? Okay. All right. Any more questions? Hi, GD. Welcome.
I think
All
Dave
right.
had a question.
Well, go ahead.
Dave had a question.
Go ahead.
It was Dave that had a question.
I
Dave?
am here. Nice to
Hey,
see
Dave.
you all.
Hey.
I just wanted to mention, and we could talk about this for hours, but Bashar, who is channeled by Daryl Anka, Daryl talks a lot about a lot of these topics, and Bashar discusses a lot of these types of things, and they're very much in alignment with the way that you're talking about them. And I just wanted to mention, first of all, you started talking about basically different communications that you might have, and he does have a discussion about what is entitled "Voices in Your Head," and he talks about where these different communications come from. There are positive and negative communications that you would have, but it's basically because we live in a duality where you do get to choose what you want to listen to. So that's sort of discussed a lot. Also, I wanted to mention that we create our own reality, and we do that basically by our beliefs and our perspectives on things. And I believe, and many other channels talk about this, where everyone that's here on planet Earth are here voluntarily. And there's no such thing as being trapped here. And if we want to choose that perspective, then those are the experiences that we're going to have. And part of the idea of our path that we are here to go on is about transformation of all of these ideas and shining our light on all of these unpreferred and negative kinds of things and transforming them into a more positive experience, a more positive thing. And the idea with the law of attraction is, as you focus on the things that you don't like, you actually give them energy and invite them into the experience. And the idea is those things are there because all things are there. And the higher vibration that you are, you're literally shining a flashlight on all the things in creation. So the things that you prefer, the new civilization that we want to move to, you're going to see all of these things, but you don't want to feed into the energy of the things that you don't want. So it's really an idea of managing where your energy goes. And I wanted to also just mention, Bashar and others talk a lot about the grays. There has been a little bit of discussion about the creation of the Greys. And I believe that the Grey civilization was started very similar to how our civilization started by the Anu, and that we talk about as the Anunnaki. And that was another sort of parallel reality civilization that they did start that civilization to help mine and help the Anunnaki mine for gold and do those kinds of things. And that was, in a linear sense, very long ago. And so having a connection to a gray who might be mining, you would have that connection because it would be relevant to your path at the moment. But that type of thing probably did occur. And then after that civilization moved out of their, mining operation kind of thing and started to grow as a civilization, then they ran into, they were interested mostly in intelligence and not so much emotion. And that explains how they're, much more highly technologically advanced than we are. And as the story goes, their civilization sort of ruined their planet and became more and more disconnected from being connected to the earth and taking care of the earth, and the emotional need to be connected to God and all that is. And that led them down the path of needing to find other humanoid species to keep their society and civilization alive, which brought them into finding us, among others, and creating the hybrid beings. And I think when we learn more and more about our true history as humans on Earth, we're going to find out that hybridization has been going on since the beginning, and it continues. And it continues also just by our interbreeding with each other in all kinds of different ways. So there might be some ET hybridization that occurred with people, let's just say in China, and that might have been a little bit of a different kind of thing than some of the other places. And as we interbreed with each other, we're creating a new race all the time of more hybrid beings, which also are enhancing our abilities, opening up more of our, I guess we could say, DNA capabilities and so forth. So I just wanted to mention all of those things. And like I said, I could talk for hours about all of this.
May I tag on to that? There's something I was wanting to say with, he just said, and at the end, he was talking about how they're trying. I think the main goal in our galaxy is for the creators, the good ones, not the malevolent ones, are trying to make this perfect race. And of course, it would be different, but that's their main goal: a healthy, good, and that's what I think that's the main goal. Whether it happens or not. But sorry about tapping in.
No, you're good. You're good. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I guess I will reflect on that. So, Bashar is super cool. I love Bashar, and his energy is very interesting. When someone, I think Takur, but maybe not Takur, maybe someone else, was asked, like, have you met Bashar? And they said, yeah, he's very tiny. Maybe Takur, I think, is very diplomatic. So it was another big being, a dragon maybe, or so imagine like a tiny alien who is super cool. Bashar has a huge influence, and he was allowed to give us lots of good information. Now, so basically, what noticed here is that there is a contradiction. I said that the Greys are Earth humans from the future who genetically engineered ourselves into the Greys, technologically creating like sort of peaceful, sneaky hybridizers and takeovers. They spread all over the timelines and the planets and inject everywhere their genes. And what Dave mentioned about from Bashar is that they were created by Anunnaki. So these are two different storylines, and I don't know which one is true. And recently I went into an astral trip, and the main message that came back is that it doesn't have to make sense. What we judge here from this perspective.
Yeah, and let me just break in quick and say,
just turn on the camera if you can.
All truths are true. So this is one perspective and one idea and one reality. And if we could imagine these things, then that reality also does exist in some way. So there's probably a reality that exists in the way that you're describing. And actually, some of the story is that one of the reasons why the Greys have come here and that we've actually agreed to participate in the hybridization, although we have experienced it in our linear past as abductions. The idea is that we were moving to a path that was similar to the Greys. So that reality where humans turned into Greys and ruined the planet is an absolute possibility. And the introduction of them coming to help us and to hybridize themselves, but also integrate their cultures with us eventually, along with other ETs that we would meet, that we would move to a collective reality where that didn't happen anymore. So that reality still exists, but that's sort of not the way we want our civilization to move to. And this is sort of an opportunity for us to not move to a situation where we have to move underground because we've ruined the environment, and we're mutating ourselves into these gray beings. So it's not really to say that it's one or the other. It's always both, and so many other things that we can't even imagine at this point.
Okay. I felt that Mary wanted to say something, but she stepped out, and her camera is automatic. It moves, tries to follow her. That's super cool. I wanted such a camera. Anyway, Mary, did you want to say anything? Your microphone is off. If you want to speak up, you have to turn the microphone on your screen. Okay, you're good.
Yes.
You can speak now.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask a quick question. All of this is so interesting. I thank you so much. I wanted to ask a quick question about I've been told, and I do feel as such, that I'm from the angelic realm. My being that I'm from the
angels.
Okay. And I wanted to ask, I've heard both ways that angels can incarnate into 3D in this earth. Yep. And then I've heard some people say not, which is really, they can.
Yep.
I've also been told that I have been here many, many times. And I found that to be a little, I wondered, I was also told or heard that what you were saying that about being stuck
In
in
samsara, in the cycle of reincarnations.
samsara. I am interested in Buddhism. I am going into a little bit of that now, but anyway, that's what I wanted to ask a little. Both of those, you answered the first one, and I appreciate it. And am I stuck, or is it the samsara?
Yeah, I take it really easy. I will give you my take. It's all about self-sacrifice. It's super cool to go into service, and for Angel, it's absolutely essential to go into a service mode to become serving the higher purpose. And as you serve the higher purpose, you give away your ego, you give away your individual preferences, and you can even give away the preference for your soul to go to the higher level. If that serves the higher purpose, which goes beyond individual body, beyond individual soul, if you do something important for the collective civilization, whoever associated, all that is God, Mother God, the Divine Mother. If you do that, then forget about preference. I mean, I basically don't care that much if I get too excited in the service and I get attracted to this physical incarnation and have to come back. Okay, I will come back. There is no rush. From the higher perspective, extra few million incarnations is nothing. It just there is no time there, so that's fine.
Thank
Go ahead.
you. There's one other thing that I would like to ask quickly. This is about the grays. I had this was not during an astral, but in sleep state. I was awakened. I was asleep, and I woke up to a voice, and it was Zeta. Just a quick, awakening with Zeta. And I found out that it was a Zeta, and it was interested in me, and it was a young Zeta, and I heard that it wanted to learn from me, that it wanted to get some teachings and learn some of my ways. And I just wondered if I had hybrid. Did I have hybrid from this Zeta, this relationship I had with when I interacted some with this Zeta?
I'm thinking.
Thank you.
I don't know. It doesn't come to me at all. I have respect for Zetas. I have connection to them, and they're fascinating. They have done a lot of things which, from human perspective, on this planet were pretty dark, but still, I mean, it's really hard to say that Zetas are that limited. There is variety of Zetas. It's the whole world of Zetas. So I wouldn't judge all Zetas just by the letter. There is the whole variety. Some of them are more aligned with us. Some of them are more servant to others. Others are more servant to self. So I wouldn't judge them at all.
That's kind of what I picked up, that these were younger Zetas and wanted to learn my way of living, my way of feeling, that they were interested in it and that they wanted to learn. And I was a little bit, I liked that they wanted to learn to do things that they felt like was a better way. They felt like it was. That's how I looked at it.
All right. So there are several messages that, several ideas for you, several ideas. One idea is that the time and experience, especially those alien experiences, are not linear. You can create the past. So if the idea of having a child with the zetas is attractive to you, you can create that past and it will materialize. It's crazy, but that's how the actual higher dimensional reality works. If that excites you, then go with it and see what happens. Sometimes it happens in the future of you, like you offer them your genetics and it's easy for them. They create, you get some proof that it was happened, and then like your child or is already an adult or something like that. Or it can create a child in the past, and you will just discover that you already have it. So it doesn't really matter.
That's what I thought. I was thinking more in terms of what could have happened already. Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to make a lot of sense time-wise. Time for zetas is so transparent. So if that storyline is exciting to you, then play with it, and it might develop.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah, the second message is that you have a lot of fear, and that fear is in your body, in the physiology. So that's a huge playground for you to work on. And I discovered yoga, and especially breathing yoga, which is called hatha, breathing. And essentially what you do is you focus on that physical body and on your breathing process, and just breathe as if you were in peace. And ideally close either both eyes or just at least one eye and look inside. And by just doing that exercise non-stop as much as you can, like during your day, during all your routine, by bringing yourself in peace, you develop that energy flow vortex, elongated vortex. I don't have a better name. Tornado. A tornado in your Kundalini tornado, which then you can keep going by feeding the energy into it, and then you can connect to it at any moment and bring that peaceful energy back to you. That's the second message. And that's a lifelong exercise, but in yoga, I'm now fully in yoga. Reiki is cool. Yoga is another approach which is I love at the moment. It's in the body. You create your physical reality and higher reality through the physiology. It's within the cell there is that record which you change. So you have to work with the physiology. And the third message is just what I learned about the angels. First is that the angels in the higher dimensions, they are a very sophisticated program which has basically the God's will is they perform God's will. There is a higher universal consciousness, and it created that program, these entities to perform the work in all different dimensions. So these are transdimensional administrators who have the same mind with God. They don't do a lot of free choices, don't have a lot of free choice in between dimensions. But when they jump into the dimension, by the nature of the veil, they gain that free choice. So here you have the free choice, you are choosing, but when you come back in an interdimensional space, you become more like an automaton or a very sophisticated tool. There, your main program is to serve the universal consciousness. And here, you're trying to do the same, but your connection to the universal consciousness is tripped, messed up by all the filters and veils, and then you're looking for something to rely on in this physical, and that's the nature of angelic incarnation here, is that they're looking for a supervisor, for a guide, and there is no one around, and that makes it a main life challenge. And the next thing is that the creativity process for humans comes from human dark side. And for angelics, it cannot come from the dark side because they are on the light side. So their creativity is different. And that can be easily discerned in the creations like music, poems, artwork. It's missing that trickster component. There is no trickster component there, or it has a different flavor. So that's something to ponder about. And the last thing about the angelics is that humans were, at some point, I'm not sure at which stage, maybe at very early stage, were invented as a hybrid between angelic genetics and physical genetics, between mortals and immortals. So we have that angelic genetics in us, and that makes every human partly an angel and connected to angelic energy. All right, I think I covered a lot on that topic, just ran through. Somebody has a question. Michael.
Yes, I just want to add that, like we're talking a lot about grace, but like usually when I hear something, and I've heard it for so many times, usually my psychic can be able to tell if it's true or not. And a lot of beings that are just not been all like hybrids, but a lot of like Andromedas, they look at us as royalty. I know they look at us and they see the world, how destroyed it is, but it can be fixed. It can get better or it can get worse. But we have 22 different strands of DNA. So it's not just zetas, it's just a part. You have reptilian that gives you the fight or flight. Like, in some worlds, there's beings that don't even know what fight or flight is. So if you went up to their child and punched it in the face, they would be oblivious. They would not know what, oh, protect my child, or they don't have the fight or flight. But yes, like we have Andromeda, Palladian, Canine, there's so much of us, not just including the grays, which there's so many different kinds of grays, but I just believe that, and add on to how they say I really believe my intuition is humans were so highly advanced before this epoch came about, and something got us dumbed down. And anyway, so the Anunnaki and also the Atlanteans, I don't know who came first, but I think the Atlanteans created the races, and the Anunnaki had a lot to do with it. Because I think back, when Atlantis was going, and then it moved to the pyramids and stuff. There was a lot. This is like a tourist spot. There was so many like canine human beings, so much that the cat, and I think that they just all came, and just it was a tourist attraction for a lot. But like I said, I just don't want to say we're royalty. We have, when they say 22 different strains of DNA from different, I think it's even more. Like I have Sasquatch, and also your DNA with them can elevate and go up and down. But like Palladian, you can have 12%, and sometimes it can go up higher. But that's how our bodies were created. That is, to my intuition and what I've studied.
Can I
Yep,
jump in with some points?
go ahead. Yeah, I just confirm pretty much what you said. Just don't confuse 22 strands with 22 chromosomes. It's more like 22 races injected, at least 22 races. Yeah, good. Yeah, well, other than that, Atlanteans were pre-human. It's a different species, but that's the previous root race, and they were here, and then they went away. Created several huge disasters. It was civil war, and we are recovering after the latest fall of Atlantis, according to Bashar, was around 22,500 years ago, and at that time humans and Neanderthals were like slowly developing, and ultimately humans took over and populated the planet. Yep. JD, go ahead.
Yeah, I've been written down some points over the conversation and the ideas that has been brought forth from you, and my mirroring of what I've heard. I would just take it very shortly, briefly, and maybe you will understand, maybe you don't. But everything that has to do with linear time is out of the calculation. Everything that we are connected to is right now. So the idea of going into the past or the future is irrelevant to the idea of finding what is present right now. And the present moment is it's so deep that you can never actually get to the end of how present moment can be perceived. So the idea that we have been hooked up onto, the humans, is to think about the past or think about the future, what will be or what has been, and that is the result of what is today. In an idea that's yes, you can say that is, but this whole thing, your perception of reality, is based on how you grew up in this life. So between the years of your first 7 years as a child, you have been programmed like a computer by the reality that you have been brought into. So, which means basically your parents. So the age between 0 and 7, that's when everything happened. This is how you perceive the world at the moment. And there has been traumas and programs in this specific time. And these traumas are based on 5 key emotions, which is fear, anger, guilt, shame, and hurt. So if you were experiencing something that feared, or something that you haven't processed as anger, you haven't processed guilt, shame, or being hurt in this time of your life, this will affect you as an adult, as throughout whole life. You have a feeling, something within you that is unresolved, which is the idea that Max spoke about, somebody having a lot of fear or being fearful. It's based on the idea that you haven't processed something that made you very afraid as a child, but you haven't had the tools to actually process these emotions. So they are stuck into your body, they're stuck into your system, and you are living your life with these blockages, basically. So it will situations in daily life will remind you of that fear or anger or hurt or guilt or shame. That if you're a person that feels a lot of shame, for example, then that is connected to your childhood. If you're a person that feels guilt over just being like feeling guilty of just being a human, the idea of that it's our fault that things are the way they are, that idea is based on childhood. The idea of fearing or being angry with the world, the way the things are, it's based on your childhood. And these things are marketed in a way with technology of just basically not being processed emotions. I just wanted to fill that out, that these 5 key emotions is very important to heal. How can we heal that? We can heal that through going into deep meditation, going into the quantum field. What is the quantum field? It's the field that is all around us all the time, that we are all connected to, and is there, and it always has been and always will be, because it's the present moment. It's just constantly there. And you can connect to that quantum field, and you can change that quantum field, and that will change your perception of this reality. So no linear time, there's none. So focus on present moment. How can you connect more to the present moment? What is the present moment? It's the sensations, it's the experiences, it's the sounds, it's the everything that is connected to the present moment. The quantum field is what you can connect to, which is the spirit, which is everything that you're surrounded by. All the love that you're surrounded by, you can connect to, and you can change. You can change the idea of not having to do anything except from changing your perception of it. So the idea of letting go is the key here. We have been programmed with things from our childhood, which is the program, which is the lies and the ideas of what we're not. The idea, what we want to come to, is the idea of letting go of these perceptions of ourselves, which is that you're unworthy of feeling great, unworthy of feeling that you're amazing just the way you are. You don't need to improve. You don't need to make anything to be that what you already are, which is continuously buzzing bliss, love, and everything that is whatever. There's no limitations to the idea of how great you can perceive yourself to be. And not from an ego perspective of comparing yourself with anything else, because we're all equal, we're all the same, we come from the same source, we're just one. But that oneness is what God made us to be, which is the everything that is, which is incredible to be a part of. And you cannot be expelled from this. You cannot go away from it. It is what we are. And the idea of relaxing into that, what we already are, is the key to change the perception of what you are. So this realm, this dimension, this idea, what we're in now experience, it will come to a complete end. It will not exist anymore. The idea that we have here on planet Earth is that, yes, we're spirits, we'll live forever, but this, what we are experiencing, we will never, ever, 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 ever experience again. So the beauty and the love behind the idea of taking this experience in, instead of focusing on all the other aspects that you can focus on, where you put your attention and focus, your energy is where the energy flows. So how can one put the maximum focus on what is right now, because this will never happen again? It will come to a complete completion. This will not be ever experienced again. I don't know why I'm pushing that idea, but I think it's very important, because we sort of take daily things for granted. We take the water for granted. We take the air for granted. We take all the experiences from this reality so for granted, because we're so hypnotized with ways how to focus on things that are not so important, which is kind of a hypnotic state. And that hypnotic state is based on the idea of entertainment, addiction, everything that will take you away from the present moment. and that has been marketed over a long period of time. So it's kind of a hypnose at this point, that we're all in this hypnose. So eliminating fear is what we can do to provide us with the best experience that we can have here, because it's really just for a second. This is nothing comparing to the whole. This is something that you, as a spirit, will have to like try to remember to even connect to. This is so small out of the whole big thing that you will have to like really like connect to the life that you had here on the planet Earth, which is really beautiful. Anyway, so and everything is already here. I'm trying to put the energy into these words so you can understand the energy of it, but everything is already here. So if you can relax into that idea, it will help you. And all about these strains and all about these hybrids and stuff, we are mixed with everything in the universe. There is nothing outside of this universe. So you have to be a mix of everything. So that's like kind of the results of the idea, if it's 22 brands or 16 of the 18th century, whatever. We are all one. We're all mixed into one thing. How much of everything? It's balanced throughout the whole universe. It's just one. What else I've written down? So spirit is here. Spirit is something that will give you what you're seeking for when you allow it to come to you. So the more you're trying to get it, the less you're trusting the spirit to give it to you. And spirit is everything. So whatever you want in your life, you can have. If it's whatever you want, like I'm not gonna say specific stuff, but whatever you would want to experience in this life, spirit will give you that experience, because of no judgment at all of what you want to experience. There's nothing good and there's nothing bad. It's just an idea that something is good or bad. It is what it makes you feel, you know. And also I will add on to how other people will feel with what you're doing. So, but it really originates in, what do you want to experience in this life? To the highest, like if there could be something you want to, like, that could be experienced in this life, because there is no limitations to the experience, only the idea that there are, you know, which could in a sense be the limitation that you're experiencing, but there is actually no limitation to the experience. You can actually go into the unknown and experience anything that you would want to experience. It's about it's about facing your fears and your own judgment on experience, whatever it is that you want to experience. So the idea of aliens, for this example, which is a big part of human colony, that we have this idea, the human idea, that they are somewhere out there and they are going to come here, which is beautiful fantasy. But the brutal truth is that they are already here, which not everybody has integrated into their belief system. They somehow still believe that they are here, but they are not here. So, but they are here already. And when you're ready to see them, you will see them. And they will appear as there were no time. Like if you could just like do this with your fingers and they will appear. Yeah. But you're not there yet. But the day when you are ready to accept the idea that they have always been here and they are here right now, that they are not somewhere else, because there is no other place than here and now. And when you have integrated that belief system, things will change in your reality for your own benefit. And what you have been seeking outside there will already be here. So I want to end it there. And I'm very thankful for giving this platform for this to come through.
Sure, thank you. I assume that it's the same collective universal consciousness is speaking, so it doesn't really matter if it is you speaking or me. And I sort of tuned into that. I can argue on every point, but they're nice. They're still nice. It's I'm playing with the same topics, and some of the messages were pretty close to what I would say. So I have a few things on to mention on the agenda. I don't have to say them, but they're kind of interesting to weave into the story. So one of the ideas of coming back to the present, coming back to your body, being inside in the center. By itself, it's very therapeutic. It is disconnects us from all the fears from outside, disconnects us from all fears, all their plans, the future plans, past traumas. It brings us to the present. So in dimension, it brings us to one point in time from all possible points of time. And in physical dimension, it brings us from outside world to inside, which is by itself cool. It's like collapsing all 4 dimensions in one spot. By itself, it's cool. Within the skin, within the body, and just staying with the focus of attention, sensing the body, sensing the organs, sensing the cells is very therapeutic. But also it allows us to jump dimensions and go transdimensional. Basically, amount of how much attention you can have is limited. It's physiological. It's a limitation of the brain, of the body. So if you limit your physicality and if you limit your dreams and worries, then there is enough of free attention that you can move into transdimensional spiritual areas. And that step of going beyond is super essential. You can remain in the body, you can remain in the now, but you can also astral jump into astral dimensions as high as you wish. So that's a tool for going from here to astral. You can go or you can stay, but it's one of the muscles you develop. And when you go into the astral, often you don't really perceive anything with the physical mind. You can only sense that you are there without actually bringing back any additional lots of additional information. So some people are so open, they can see entities there, they can act there. And many of us, we just know we are there, but we don't have back a lot. We have only some understanding that something is happening there. It really depends how filters are set up. And for healthy performance and activity on the physical, sometimes it helps not to know what happens in the astral. So your physical mind is intact and pretty functional. So I think whoever controls our drama here, like spirit guides and angels, they intentionally sometimes cut off our spiritual powers and psychic powers so we can actually function here and get things done and get lessons we need. So I enjoyed doing that meditation, going inside and astral, but I also enjoy coming back to physicality, to just my energy is pretty wild. Like I'm already in your rooms. I would, whoever people I communicate, I would connect to them, unless I really want to stay away. And dream about the future, remember about the past. It's also a valid exercise. I don't put a negative value on going into physical or going into the future or going into the past. I think these are all valid exercises, valid works. And you can heal their reality through your body. You can heal it through working on the future. You can heal it through working on the past. You can heal by working on the present, the planet or stars, whatever. You can do your work at any level. Okay, next. Yeah, that I discovered, and I think it's a common knowledge, but it's like, for me, it was a self-discovery that other people are super important. Interactions with other people are super important for collective work, collective spiritual work, collective astral work. So family, friends, believers, non-believers, enlightened, unenlightened, materialistic, spiritual, they all have a role to play. And if they get me excited, that means that that is a message. If there is a feeling, if there is excitement, if there is potential, you can feel it, you can go with it, and that would be another lesson. And same I hear from Ram Dass and from Nim Karoli Baba, which, like, when people ask Nim Karoli Baba about spiritual questions, his answer was, go feed people, go help people, serve people, love people, tell the truth. So that's very grounded. Apparently he lived in an area where hunger was super important, and feeding people there had very different meaning than feeding people here, where it's overeating is a challenge. So here I would preach help people not to overeat, help people to maintain healthy bodies. So exercise with people, work on Reiki with people, help people to stop obsession with overeating, over consuming electronic news, and adapt to increased connection to the network, adapt to higher bandwidth connection to the network. I think that's the biggest challenge. So at some point, people become burnt by too much back and forth connection to the network, electronic network. And we connect to it not only physically, but astrally, etherically as well. Even if you turn off the phone, you still are connected there. So that is a new reality, which is very new, and it grows very fast, that interconnectedness. But it looks like that's a path for civilization to reconnect and become, it's a form of singularity, become reunited. Bashar said their civilization was reconnected in 3 days. For us, so far it takes much longer, but I wouldn't be surprised if there will be a flip when in our lifetime the civilization will reconnect. Now we are connected like through Zoom, but there might be some other way, which could be through helmets or some other ways. First it would be like temporary, and but then later it could be like full way plugged in into the network. I think that's a positive development, although obviously it's double-edged sword. Okay, so that is mentioned. Other people are important, and some of them are teachers, some of them you help, and some of them are challenge us, but other people are super important. So next there is an idea of service, and Hanuman, an Indian deity, is a symbol of that bhakti yoga service. Bhakti meaning service yoga, devotion and service, serving the universal consciousness, serving God. And I'm getting excited about that service. And that idea is going from the third chakra, solar chakra, solar energy, to green chakra, heart energy. And green is unity and service. And yellow solar is hierarchy, relationship, dominance, and warrior, fight. So that's solar. So we're going from a soldier and manager, or office worker, to a monk, or a service person. I mean, there is many varieties of service, but the idea of serving to others. So that shift to serving to others is huge. So Hanuman was a servant of God, and Ramdas is also transmuting this energy of dominance into and fight, dominance, anger, and fight, into energy of love and service. And Nim Karoli Baba Maharaj was incarnation of Hanuman, or Hanuman priest, but that was huge in Maharaj's service. So that was very cool, and I was enjoying that, and I was also very connected to the idea of creative idea of Brahma, and I was judging the idea of Shiva, the destroyer, Lucifer, negativity, devil, demon, Kali, dark energy, death. So birth was cool, death was bad. Until I sort of listened thoroughly to Ramdas, and I realized that darkness and negativity and Shiva have lots of play in this drama. And if you design the whole system, the whole illusion, then you have to create some negativity. Like, take your favorite television series, movie series. It's always there is some drama, some negativity happening. Otherwise, it wouldn't be interesting. So there is the drama on the planet is so interesting because there is a potential for good and for evil, and positive outcome and negative outcome. And if you just look at Star Trek, they always bring some trouble somewhere early on in the episode, and that's what makes it exciting. So if there is no negativity, the life would be like super boring. You cannot create super sweet story which is super attractive without some sort of fear, some sort of negative outcome. So fear is super good, super important from higher perspective. Not that I choose it here. From higher perspective, I've looked at the whole system altogether, the whole galaxy. Negativity has a place in it. So once I started looking at it, I'm there like for about half a year, like really researching it. I was in the past, but I was sort of shied away from it. Now I had enough desperation, I guess. I was desperate enough to start looking and trying to understand it. And finally, a few days ago, I discovered that Hanuman was a reincarnation of Shiva, which is destroyer. So then the whole story of service becomes super interesting. It's Shiva, the destroyer, becomes a servant of God. So negativity, the evil, becomes a servant of all that is, of the universal consciousness. And one of my models of the world became like yin and yang, like pretty perfectly illustrated, is that one is just a reflection of another. And that bad people or predators or bad animals, but let's focus now on bad people, are us, just flipped through some weird mirror and a lens. And it's not us, it's us. It's me just flipped. And then you have to understand the mechanism of negativity. Usually negativity means bad outcome, so it is directed in time. Birth is good, death is bad. But if you flip the time direction, then you come to the life through death. Then you become old, then you become younger, then you become younger, then you become born, then you become conceived, and then you live that life. So whatever was bad leading to destruction in the positive direction of time becomes good leading to creation in the negative direction of time. So death becomes birth and birth becomes death. So it looks like negative people are just inverted in time. They're creating backward. They take something existing and then create. And once you look at moving back in time, there are not only creative moments, but there are also influences which go backward in time. That's super crazy for materialistic mind, but basically lots of events from the future affect us now, and lots of events now affect our past. There is that causative effect of things from later to earlier. I don't know if you're familiar with that idea. It's like, I called it inverted, time-inverted causative connections, where consequences causes the cause. Or like the example of that would be the baby which was born caused their parents to meet and fall in love. The baby creates love of the parents. The baby brings the parents together, introduces them together, and that's the inverted in time causative connection. All right, so I talked about this. And now the second type of evil is ugliness, which is imperfection. And imperfection has nothing to do with time. It can be like eternal imperfection. It can be very continuous in time imperfection. And You look at it from the past moving to the future, look at it from the future moving to the past, it's ugly anyway. There is beauty and there is ugliness. And that has also place in the creation, an important place. And there is always a competition on this planet, in this physicality of perfection and imperfection. And there is always like perfection grows and then decays. Perfection grows and decays. There is that dynamic fight between chaotic movement and perfection. And you realize by looking at it that perfection has very little freedom of choice because it is perfect, while imperfection has a lot of freedom of choice. And that angelic energy and spiritual energy and God will usually manifest here in the physicality through random events. Like random events happen for a reason. Basically, for us, it is out of control. It's random, like Brownian motion, lots of random events around. But for higher entities, God, Divine Mother, angels, spirit guides, demons, devils, random energies, aliens, they have lots of control over random events. And if you're a creator of creative artworks, music, word, writing, visual arts, any other sort of creativity, dance, you realize that algorithmic, very perfect is boring. You have to introduce randomicity in your creative process, and that's where the spirit comes in. So, and just random life, just normal life, if you allow for randomicity, allow for unexpected, then it becomes full of the spirit. If you try to squeeze your life into a predictable life, it rottens. To fill it with life energy, you have to bring in randomicity, allow for a lot of randomicity, become passive and open for randomicity to come into the life, and it brings the life energy. So essentially, one of the consequences of that is that Shiva brings life energy into the body. That's huge for Reiki. Essentially, when you work with Reiki, you have to allow for darkness to do its work and bring the some energy. It's combination of sun and moon, light and dark, that gives life force to the biological entities. And now I jump to my research, which is, I think I discovered one of the molecular mechanisms, how it happens. So I've been working on that for a while, since 1999, it's 24 years. And recently, about a year ago, I stumbled upon the question about the involvement of water in DNA structure. And I started researching the water. I found the works of Gary Pollock about so-called easy water. E, letters E, Z, and then water, easy water. And capital E, capital Z. And then he mentioned that water can go into flat layers, hexagonal, honeycomb, which are shifted relative to each other. And these shifts are stepwise. They are binary. They are stepwise. Not binary, but discrete. I forgot that word, but they go in steps, stepwise. And can happen in 3 dimensions, in 3 directions. And the double helix would imprint on them, so the water structure would imprint a helical structure. Double helix, the water would kind of shift to incorporate that double helix. That was super cool. And then I started looking at how the sequence of DNA can also imprint into water structure. And I built a model, and I found some evidence in published data that this model is more or less real, where the sequence of DNA is imprinting on water structure. And what is relevant to Shiva and yin-yang paradox or dilemma, duality, is that neither water nor DNA have a perfect structure. Water by itself is a continuous competition, fight, dance between crystallization and decay, growing and shrinking of honeycomb, snowflake-like structures, pretty bigger than, it's about 100 molecules, bigger than 100 molecules of water in one layer, the structure, and then a multi-layer, and it continuously moving, crystallizing in the body, crystallizing and melting all the time. It's a dynamic melting process, back and forth. And that structure can propagate. So DNA can crystallize water, and then crystal structure would move, crystallizing more and more water and dissolve behind. It will move, decrystallize on the front, and it will dissolve in the back. So that's super cool. But basically it's dance between perfection and randomicity. And then DNA, when it fits in the water structure, it also is imperfect. It can fit every other, first yes, second no, third yes, fourth no. Every other layer of DNA would fit in the water structure, something like that. And it fits perfectly. But then these guys are very imperfect. They're very inconveniently fit in the structure. And then to fit perfectly, it would have to turn around, and then these guys fit perfectly, and the other ones fit imperfectly. So odd and even phases of the nucleotides would alternate, and DNA would at least twist back and forth, or maybe spin all the time. But that becomes like a motor, car motor, which has pushes of perfection and an imperfection, but basically that allows it to spin. So it's very much like car motor, combustion motor. So DNA spins in the water much of the time because of that inherent crystal imperfection. So that's Shiva in DNA water solution, which is the basis of life. So imperfection as the basis of life is my topic of the last half a year, and that's super cool. I do a lot of computational research. We just, right now we have 3 people working on that. I have 3 people. I paid from my salary. I work somewhere else for genomics, doing some research, and then part of my salary I spend on that. And right now it's very modest, spending about a bit over $1,000 a month. And if anybody wants to participate in that research, that's I do crowd fundraising, so you can find me on maxrempel.com, and there is all my contacts and fundraising information. And if you like to be involved in the discussion of the science and the results, and they're very exciting, like really exciting results, I see the proof that it's true, then you can remind me. I will include you in the group discussing that these results. So the outcome of that is essentially understanding how the biofield is formed individually and collectively, and that realization should prevent the collapse of collective biofield. So if humans become genetically modify themselves, if they understand that DNA creates biofield, these DNA water structures create the biofield, then which structures create the biofield, then they wouldn't destroy them in genetic manipulation. They would keep their the energy biofield of the species, keep it alive and full of harmony and life force. Keep the balance between construction and destruction, creativity and destruction. And I think that is super cool, and that is very beneficial. And obviously that relates directly to the artificial intelligence, because we are merging with it. We're becoming super smart. We become collectively become much smarter. And if that becomes a part of collective consciousness, the understanding of the biofield and the connection to the spirit, how the spirit enters the water DNA solution, then the development will be much more harmonious. So that's a nice message. I have a few minutes to close. Do you have anything to question or add? All right, I have with me Michael, Mary, and Wendy and Dave and Karen. Most of them are possibly busy with other things, so but they're still electronically here. Do you want to say or ask anything for the closing? All right, I will do a chant. And actually we'll run to another event where I will be singing in Russian. It's two of my clubs. One is Hucolo club, another club is Tamza club, which is in Russian beyond. It's beyond in Russian. And in Tamza we are doing Russian folk singing, and here we are doing light languages. So somehow it happened that Saturday that time is super popular, so we have parallel events. Very funny. All right, I will do the chant. The intention is to close and harmonize the topics which we discussed. Any more closing words? Anybody? If you want to speak up, just turn on your microphone.
Thank you, Max. Thank you for everything.
Yes, turn on your camera if you want.
Oh, I'm at a weird angle. Hang on.
Yeah, I can see you.
Nyatava sepasomo shevele haramo umaya kativi subohiama eleheshalon dobaki atahi shimima ma atea sepasoporokiama lishamoroko kiva imima hate esebaso shonabialako tivisimona eshe kiato. Thank you for this beautiful expression today of oneness and being a part of all that is. It's just beautiful. Thank you. Wonderful discussion.
Which language is that?
You know, It's just me, I guess. I don't know.
Some of the words are recognized, but not a lot. So it's some dialect which is not exactly mine.
Well, I was definitely feeling a lot of angelic presence as well today. So
Thank
I
you.
thank you for all the beautiful energies and everybody's sharing and the wonderful topics of conversation. It was very high vibrational. Thank you.
I'll just reflect on that. What hayana unkt aikt unjik ahiktina ha oikt uraik tigda unnamata hamanta namada atigda ayana hana uta. It was something about energizing, something about being brave and jumping forward without reservations.
Well, and that's a perfect segue to the wishing everyone a happy new year. So I think that's a beautiful way to kind of end this and begin the new year. That's wonderful.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Dave, Michael, Karen, and those who are viewing online. Thank you very much. You can find us on hucolo.org and on Hucolo on Facebook and on maxrempel.com, and join us again. Karen is doing webinars on Hucolo every Saturday at that time, starting 11 in the morning New York time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.